Tonight we are going to talk about fasting. I saw in our thread that there was some, good Lord, what we got going? Don't mind the online community. Don't worry about what's going on. We just construction. We just doing some new things over here. I saw in the thread, and then a couple of people have asked me, about fasting. How do you fast? What do you do? So I thought, man, let's just go ahead and do a talk about it. Talk about fasting, the purpose, prep, post, just different types of fasting, all that, just so that we can kind of get everybody on the same page, because we know that our church right now is in a church-wide week-long fast. We started, I started Sunday. I didn't know we were starting on Monday, so a brother missed out on a meal, and I don't like missing out on meals, but I still got to go all the way to Saturday. So anyway, but even before I was thinking about this talk, I thought, because of what I sense in my spirit, God wants to do. Really wants to do something different, something new with MOSAIC. There's some things that we'll talk about that we're going to be doing in the future. I feel like it is a time for us to position ourselves. And fasting is a great way to do that. Fasting and prayer, worship, I'm always about the worship, getting into your word and all those things. But if we could just say we need to position ourselves so that God can move through us, okay? And I'll talk more about what does that mean? How do you position yourself? How do you get yourself in a place where you can be the demonstration of His glory, okay? I mean, that's the reason why we're here, is to be the pipeline that He uses to minister to other people. But tonight we're going to talk about fasting, and I want to talk about, first section of this talk is your prep. This is probably more important, almost as important as the fast itself. Because how you prep to go into your fast is how you finish, okay? If you go into it with no prep work, with no thinking about it, or no thinking about what you're going to do on the post side, then you're just going to be going crazy. You're not going to be well focused. You won't know what to read, and just a different other things. So first thing I want to look at is what type of fast will you be encountering, okay? Tonight we're going to talk about 5 different types of fasts. There are actually 8 or 9. Doing the research, I didn't know about 3 or 4 of these, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. But there's 5 that we'll talk about tonight. I encourage you to fast, okay? And we'll talk about those different types. In your prep work, you also want to know what's the purpose? Why are you fasting? Just don't, I'm just going to fast. Well, why? You got a prayer list? You praying for direction? Are you fasting for purpose? Are you fasting to as far as spiritual warfare? What is it that your purpose for fasting? It'll help you to stay focused and to be able to move through your time of fasting with intentionality. The third thing is length of time. Okay, we're going to talk tonight about day, intermittent. We'll talk about 3-day fast, 7-day fast, 40-day fast. You'll want to know specifically, I'm going to start on this day, I'm going to finish on this day, or I'm going to start this time and finish this time. I'm going to do sun up, sun down. I'm going to do that for 2 days, 3 days, whatever the case may be. You need to know specifically what you're going to do so that you can stay on track. Because guaranteed, you'll get distracted. How will that fall into your schedule? Okay? Unless you don't work and just sit at home, you got a schedule. You got work, you got school, you got hangout time, chilling with your friends and whatnot, running the streets and whatnot. How does that fit in your schedule? Okay? You want to make sure that you take a look at that. I know for myself, I have to look at, okay, I'm going to be fasting. This is the type of fast I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be in the gym or on the road running or whatever. What does that look like? I stay up late some nights. What does that look like? All that you've got to take into consideration when you are fasting. Because later on, we're going to talk about fatigue sets in. If you're doing a fast longer than 3 to 4 days, you will get tired. How will you record it? I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they do a fast and they never record what God says. They never record how they felt. They never record the things that they thought about. They never journaled. They never wrote those things down. When you fast, you need to record so that you have something to refer back to. Now, some of you know whenever I talk about journaling, I journal not just, hey, God showed up. No, I give a little more description. For instance, let's say I was walking around, which you guys see me a lot, I walk around and pray. I'll say I was walking around Tuesday morning and praying, and it was a little cold outside, a little chilly, little wind was blowing, and I was listening in my ear pods to this song, and I felt the Spirit of God say this to me. So why am I so descriptive? Because it brings me right back to that place. If all I do is I just say, yeah, I was walking and praying, well, it won't bring you back to that place. Be specific. Be specific whenever you describe when the Lord is talking to you. You'll be able to get back to that place. Why are you fasting? Now, for me, the first of the year, I fast for 2 reasons, spiritually and physically. I always do a cleanse during the first week. I go no less than 7 days. I'm cleansing because I know I'm coming off of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, which means I've eaten a whole lot of stuff I shouldn't be putting into my body. But it's okay, because I know that first week, when we do the fast, I'm going to, along with seeking God, I'm going to be cleansing my body. Let someone know you're fasting. Now, that isn't when you go out and you say, hey, everybody, I'm fasting. Check me out. No, that's not what you do. Okay? Go to someone that you trust, preferably a leader, a pastor, and say, hey, I'm going to go on a, excuse me, I'm going to go on a whatever, how many days. Let's just say I'm going to go on a 7-day fast. And it's going to be an absolute fast. And if you do that, we'll probably say no. But if you say I'm going to do a partial fast, let somebody know so that 1, they can be praying with you. Okay? And 2, so they can help you walk through and navigate. Okay? I always have a prayer partner. You guys know I talk about accountability all the time. I've got my Thursday night group, 9 guys. I've got 5 guys back in Dallas where I used to live that I'm accountable to. There's guys on staff that I'm accountable to. I hold myself accountable, not just so I will not fall into sin, but so that they can help me on this spiritual walk. Okay? Always have somebody that you're, at least one person you're talking to. Huge. This is huge if you want to make it any distance. Leading up to the fast, 3 to 4 days, cut out carbs and sugar. You cut out carbs and sugar, you can go longer. Because the moment you begin to extract that from your body is going to be able to start to grab hold. You're going to get headaches. You're going to get dizzy. Fatigue will come on faster, and you'll be dying for that big fat bacon double patty cheeseburger with extra sauce on it. Make sure you prepare. Okay, so what to expect? What to expect when you fast? Number one thing, expect God to move. Don't go into a fast just thinking, man, this is going to be fun. I'm going to be praying. I'm going to read a little word. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Expect God to move. I believe when you go into any situation, even if it's just worship like we just had, expect God to move. Expect to hear from him. Okay? A second thing that's going to happen, the enemy's going to attack. Plain and simple. He's not going to sit back and go, oh, look at these, Hercules, they're fasting, they're getting closer to God. No. They're going to distract. The enemy is going to come distract. You're going to have crazy nightmares. You're going to have things that you're battling in your mind. The enemy will come to distract. The Bible tells us that he's to do what? Kill, steal, and destroy. He's not going to stand by. Number 3, I kind of hit on it. You will get fatigued. There will be headaches. You're going to get hungry. There's going to be distractions and temptations. Okay? That's going to happen. You're going to get hungry. If you go longer than 3 days, that 4th day, the first 2 days, you're going to feel like, this isn't so bad. That 4th day, you're going to hit a wall. And you're going to be like, I can eat anything as long as it's not moving. And I can eat a lot of it. It's a human body. Expect those things to happen. 5 types of fast. The first one we're going to talk about is the absolute, or what they call the supernatural. An absolute fast means abstaining from both food and water. Don't do this unless you tell somebody. And don't do this longer than 3 days. The human body can go, believe, 20, 21 days with no food, but it'll only go 2.5 to 3 days without water. And then you start to shut down. Your body starts to atrophy. Okay? Don't do this without talking to someone. Okay? And I'll just be honest and transparent. I know because I did that and I blacked out. Boo! I went and talked to Jesus in a different mode. Horizontal. Thought I was going to be all spiritual. A couple of references in the Bible for an absolute fast. We will see that Moses was on Mount Sinai in Exodus 34 and 28. Jesus was in the wilderness, Matthew 4:2 and Luke 4:2. Esther called a fast in chapter 4. Saul in Acts 9, right after he's on the road to Damascus, and he goes to the house of Ananias, and he's there, and he's got to pray, and he's fasting, and it was all before he regained his sight. It is called a supernatural fast because it is something that God has to walk you through. Again, I know because I went through there and he had to raise me back up. But make sure you do, in all seriousness, make sure that you talk to someone. and you get counsel. If God is calling you, if you feel like, man, I'm supposed to do an absolute fast, make sure you talk to someone. I'd almost even say talk to your doctor, because you don't know internally what's going to happen to you. Okay? Second type is water. In a water fast, you abstain from all food, but you still drink water. Only water. Okay? Now, there are liquid fasts, but that's separate. A water fast is only water. You could go 40 days, 50 days like this. Okay? We'll get some references here, but in talking about the water fast, I'll also talk about a liquid fast, because there are some fasts where people will drink like chicken broth or beef broth, or they'll drink maybe protein. Like right now, I'm drinking a lot of protein, just because my situation. Y'all know my testimony. I got to have protein coming in, so I'm drinking lots of protein drinks so that I don't go horizontal, and then somebody got to call 911. But there are different. There's some people that they do liquid diets where it's just juices. You can do a lot of different juices. Now, stay away from the sugar, okay? Because you're going to get spikes and you're going to go all over the place and you're going to be Looney Tunes, okay? But there are different ways you can approach the liquid or the water fast, okay? A couple examples of that. We see Judges 20, verse 26, Ezra 8, 21, and Nehemiah 1:1. We see where Nehemiah called a fast, and it was a water fast. The third type is a partial fast. Now, this is what a lot of people do. Because, you can do the veggies, you can do fruit. A lot of times you're wanting to pull away from meat, fried foods. You're wanting to pull away from processed foods. I would say anytime you fast, make sure you pull away from processed foods. Okay. But yeah, the Daniel fast, and we'll look at that. This is also a great fast if you're on meds where you need to take food with your meds. Okay. Because you're still taking in enough food so that you don't get an upset stomach, or you don't get dizzy or drowsy or whatever can happen with you when taking those meds. I do this also sometimes because I take meds where I have to take food. So make sure that you don't be crazy whenever you fast. Let me just say that. Because a lot of times people will say, well, I'm just going to believe God and he'll take care of me. Well, if you didn't hear from him and you didn't get a direct word from him, then you're stepping out into a place where you're putting yourself in danger. Okay? Make sure that whenever you do, you engage in a fast, that it's exactly what God has called you to do. Daniel 1, chapter 1 and chapter 10 talks about the Daniel fast. There's also Ezekiel. I just thought about that. I didn't put it down. Where a lot of people will make Ezekiel bread, and they will just eat that and water during their fast. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know how many of you guys have ever eaten Ezekiel bread. Yeah, it's nasty. It's like eating cardboard. At least to me. To me, it's like eating cardboard. I'm like, man, when I get a piece of bread, I'm either gonna put butter on it or we gonna put peanut butter and jelly. That's just how I roll. You got to put it on there like that. So you got to give it a little bit of flavor. Ezekiel bread, you can't do either one of those on there. You put that on there and it's like, nah. And it just ain't hitting. So, but yeah, some people do Ezekiel bread. I've heard some people bake unleavened bread and do that. It's whatever you feel the Lord is saying to you. The fourth type is a regular fast, which is it is basically just as we seek the Lord through prayer and Bible reading, fasting should be something we incorporate into our lives on a daily basis. Now, one of the things that I think we do as Christians, there are some disciplines that we love to get into and some we don't. Like everybody wants to worship. Okay, you can run around, you can get your little groove on and whatnot. But not everybody wants to fast. And not everybody wants to pray. And it's sad to say, not all Christians want to read their word. But in order to position yourself, you have to have all those components in order, in the right, the right amount to begin to position yourself and put yourself and place yourself in a position where God can move. I want to talk a little bit about the attitude, a couple thoughts. Let's look at Matthew 6, 16 through 18. It says, when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do. You can read the rest of that. I'm just going to hit the red. If you're the kind of person to be like, oh man, walking in, I'm so tired. Why are you tired? Oh, I've been fasting for 2 weeks. No. You should not be a person who is using that as, hey, look at me. Okay? Fasting is a time whenever you say, God, look inward. Look at what's on the inside. Work through me, work in me, work out of me that which is not of you. Okay? And when he tells you something to get rid of, don't walk around with a long face. Oh, man. No. You should be very thankful, praising him because you're getting that much closer to him. Okay? So as the word says, don't be like the hypocrites. People should not be able to tell that you are fasting. Acts 13, verse 2 says, while they were worshiping the Lord and fasting. This is what I love. I love worshiping. Y'all know I used to be a worship leader, and I love the worship. And I'm always tying that into everything that I do. And I have seen a lot of not only growth, but I've heard the Lord speak to my heart a lot of times while fasting and worshiping. Okay? That's the reason why I'm always, every time we do worship here, I'm always telling you guys, plug in immediately. Never wait on a band or a song leader to say, hey, let's stand and let's worship the Lord. You immediately plug in. And not to call attention to myself and Pastor Micah, but if you ever notice on Sunday mornings, everybody's sitting down. We're looking at the countdown. When it gets to 1 minute, I'm up. I'm like, hey, let's do this. Now, of course, I know some of my favorite songs are about ready to get played, and I'm about ready to get mine on. But I'm not waiting for anyone to prime me. I come primed, ready to worship him, especially when I'm fasting. I plug in. Let's see. My iPad be acting crazy sometime. Acts 14:23 says, Paul and Barnabas appointed elders for them in each church, and with prayer and fasting committed them to the Lord. I think a lot of decisions have got to be made during or after you've prayed and fasted. One of the reasons why I like praying and fasting at the beginning of the year is because my prayer list, just being transparent, my prayer list is, God, what do you want to do through me? How do you want to work through me? But God, what are the things that you want to see done in men's ministry, in MOSAIC, in disaster relief, in the creative team? Anything that I oversee is on the table for the next week and a half. And I'm praying about it. And praying for you guys. Each one of you. Anybody comes through that door, I may not remember your name, but I remember your face. Lord, I just lift up so-and-so. I just pray this year is the year that they meet you in a great way. That God, that they would never walk the same way, that you would change them. Use me or not. See, I go into a fast very specific. I'm praying for the events that are coming up. I'm praying for the series. I'm praying for the times that I speak on Sunday mornings. I already know there's 3 in the first quarter. I'm speaking 3 times. I'm already praying about that. Lord, what do you want me to say? Lord, what do you want me to say on Tuesday nights? Lord, we're going to launch a discipleship program in February. God, what does that look like? Be very specific. Lay it on the table. Allow him to speak through you. Some of you guys are in a fork in the road in your life. Some of you standing there and you're like going, I don't know if I go back to school, if I get a job. God, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this or this. Am I supposed to leave and go out on my own? Or what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to stay back at the house, save a little bit more money? Am I supposed to get more hours in a job? You're asking all these questions. Put it on the table in a fast to the Lord. Submit it to him. Proverbs tells us what? Submit your ways to the Lord. And he'll do what? Direct your path. Submit it all. God, I don't understand this in the Bible. Boom, put it on the table. I'm fasting and praying about it. God, give me discernment. Show me. In all that you do, acknowledge him. The 5th type of fasting is a selective fast is taking something that consumes a large portion of your thoughts. The key word there is thoughts. And time, and removing that thing from your life. Yes. Yes. I'm gonna hit on something here in a minute. Online, they may leave me. When that was written back whenever there was Nazarites, okay? It was written specifically for them. Why? Because they would abstain from strong drink and wine. They would allow their hair to grow. They would not touch anything that was dead. They would only eat certain types of food. Why? Because they pulled away, because they said, I want to be set aside, set apart, and anointed for the work of God. Okay? Separated themselves. Okay? There are some times in a fast you're going to be around people. Okay? You got to go to work, you got to go to school, all that. There are times where you're going to say, I got to take Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I have to separate myself from every distraction. Lock myself up in my room, and I'm going to pray and I'm going to fast. Today, because we don't have no Nazarites in here, because all y'all got hair, you know, it ain't long, but okay. A selective fast would be things that consume a large portion of your life. What could that be? TV, hobbies, girlfriend, boyfriend, little honey, scrolling on the internet. What is it? What is that? Side note, I challenge you to do this. Yeah, I don't think you can do that. I challenge you to do this. From Tuesday to Tuesday, I want you to clock how much time you spend on the internet. Okay?
Your phone does that for you automatically.
It does. Now, I wasn't going to tell on nobody, but it does. So you can check your phone. I would say do this. Take that number and multiply it times 3. And that's how much time you spend with God. Yeah. Some of y'all won't be doing anything because I know you be on there all the time. Just think about it. We have the most complex camera and recording system known to man housed in our being. It's called our eyes and our brain. Once you see something, your brain will record it. You forever have that image. Okay? Think about it. How much time you spend on the internet and all the things you're looking at and all the images. Replace that with studying the Word of God. I could take a big step on some toes and say the average young adult knows more lyrics than they know scripture. I'm just going to let that lay. I'm going to let that lay and move on. Let's talk about purpose. The purpose for fasting is not a starvation diet, but it is to connect with God. Period. That's it. You have to go into it with purpose and intentionality of I'm going to connect with God. Again, position your heart. Set yourself in a place where you can focus on Him. In closing, let's talk about post. What do you do afterwards? You got to have a plan. First thing is, what are you going to do with all the information that God gives you? You're just not going to write it in a journal or put it in your phone or whatever, your iPad, and say, oh man, this is cool. Till next time. How are you going to incorporate that into your life? You got to have a plan. When God speaks, He is expecting us to carry that out. He's not just going to be throwing, ideas at us or giving us direction just so that we can just kind of go, oh man, that was pretty cool. Wow. Woo. Yeah, God. I wonder if you could do that. Well, He can because He told you. How are you going to walk that out? What changes must you do so that those can be made? What do you have to change in your life? That's something, I always talk about. What do you got to change in your life so you can get closer to God? You got to cut off friends. You got to stop watching some TV series, podcasts, social media peoples. I'm not against social media. Listen, y'all know I've told you, I give you a list of people I watch and listen to. But you got to remember that is what is going to form who you are. that will form who you are. How you think, how you react. It'll change your mindset. And once it changes your mindset, then it becomes a lifestyle. I always tell people, I spend 15 minutes with you and your friends. I'll tell you where you'll be in 5 years. Because of your mindset. Continue the journey. Pretty much, I've already hit on that. 2 things. Resources. There's a book called God's Chosen Fast. That's actually, I think that's the 2nd or 3rd print. That book is my main resource in fasting. Almost every time I fast, I always go back through it. I don't read it completely, but I flick through areas where I've highlighted just as a reminder. It's a great book. Pastor Joel put together a PDF, which is right over there. I've printed out, or Daniel has printed out enough so that everybody can get one. Okay? I would say those 2 resources would be a great start in understanding and mapping out your fast.